And welcome back to Hannity's America. They are the super PAC of all super PACs, and with their help, back in 2008, Barack Obama was elected president of the United States. Now, over the past 3.5 years, the blatant left-wing bias in the mainstream media has only gotten worse, and their slanted reporting in the 2012 race, well, it may be the most pathetic to date.
Now, they pretend to be unbiased journalists.
What do you think of the Republican criticism that we are politicizing it, that the White House, I should say, is politicizing it?
But those in the mainstream media can no longer disguise their liberal bias.
This will be the single most important election in our lifetime. The need for the American people to have the truth in front of them has never been greater. When the media are going out of their way to distort an election in order to advance one party, then they are doing a tremendous disservice to the American people. They're doing a tremendous disservice to history.
You just don't have to take our word for it. The bias is now being admitted openly.
I think the press still likes this story a lot. The media is very susceptible to doing what the Obama campaign wants, which is to focus on this.
I have said before that I thought the media helped tip the scales. I didn't think the coverage in 2008 was especially fair to either Hillary Clinton or John McCain.
And during the conventions, there was a clear distinction to how journalists chose to cover the two political parties. Now listen to how the Obama mania media covered the DNC.
We just posted an item about the media's reaction. Not a shocker here. Wolf Blitzer saying it was a grand slam. Chuck Todd saying that Michelle Obama owned this convention in a way no speaker owned the convention in Tampa. The mainstream media tends to be quite smitten with the Obamas, so I don't know if we should interpret it.
But it wasn't just for that 2-week span that the media showed its true colors. Just listen to some of the questions Governor Romney and Congressman Paul Ryan have been asked during their various interviews.
There are some people who are claiming that you played a little fast and loose with the truth on certain key elements.
People hear he's not going to release the rest of his returns, and they wonder why. They wonder, is there a year there where he paid no taxes? They wonder about expensive horses and houses and what have you. Are you prepared to leave this gathering and own the fact that the platform of this party allows a woman who has been raped, no exception, but to carry that child to term?
I just got a copy of the Newsweek cover that's going to be hitting the newsstands tomorrow that calls you a wimp. Has anyone ever called you a wimp before?
Now, who needs campaign surrogates to attack the Romney-Ryan ticket when you have those in the media doing the Obama campaign's dirty work? But that's not all. The media also tries to hide Obama's blunders. Yet they are all too willing to highlight missteps by the Romney campaign. Here's another example of our friends at the MRC, well, helping to make this point. Now, back in May, ABC News and NBC News ran stories about the Romney campaign accidentally misspelling America.
Mitt Romney's campaign is taking heat for bungling Tuesday's unveiling of a new iPhone app.
This morning, the Romney camp a bit red-faced after misspelling America on the campaign's new iPhone app.
And during that exact same week, President Obama made a highly insensitive gaffe. While posthumously honoring a resistant fighter during the Nazi occupation of Poland during World War II, our commander-in-chief said this.
Jan served as a courier for the Polish resistance during the darkest days of World War II. Before one trip across enemy lines, resistance fighters told him that Jews were being murdered on a massive scale and smuggled him into the Warsaw Ghetto and a Polish death camp to see for himself.
Now, the highly offensive phrase, Polish death camps, created an uproar in Poland, but in typical fashion, the mainstream media, well, they never reported it. Now, this is just one example of a story those in the mainstream media refused to cover. Now, according to the Media Research Center, when it was announced that Vice President Biden would be campaigning in Tampa during the RNC, an unprecedented move, mind you, now, one of the three major networks covered the story in their nightly newscast or on their morning shows. But when it was announced that Congressman Paul Ryan would be campaigning in North Carolina ahead of the DNC, well, that was another story entirely.
Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney is resting in New Hampshire today, but his running mate, Congressman Paul Ryan, will invade Charlotte, North Carolina, where the Democrats hold their national convention this week.
We've seen this bias by omission emerging in the last 2 years, and it's gotten to ridiculous heights. News stories that are news to everyone are being blotted out by the news media if it goes against the narrative of an Obama re-election. I've never seen anything like it before.
But it isn't just those running on the ticket that are subjected to the left-leaning liberal spin. Now look at how the wives are treated. Ann Romney has been ridiculed in the press when it comes to how she is battling her illnesses.
This is not in any way to make light of Ann Romney's difficulty with MS. It's obviously a very difficult thing to bear. But come on, dressage does not appear in any of the more traditional courses of treatment.
We know that Ann Romney has herself had some suffering in the form of multiple sclerosis. She's also suffered with breast cancer. Do you think that he's intentionally using her to close the gender gap?
The left-wing media also had a field day about a specific shirt that Ann Romney wore during a CBS interview.
Was instantly recognized by the fashion cognoscenti as the Reed Audubon silk shirt, part of the Reed Krakow 2012 spring-summer collection, and the shirt is available to anyone for a mere $990. Yet another example of how out of touch the Romney family can be with how 99% of Americans live.
But how is First Lady Michelle Obama treated by the press? Well, she gets the royal treatment, and the media flat out ignores her pricey attire. She wore sneakers that cost over $500 to a food bank event, a $2,000 sundress during a Hawaii vacation, and to top it all off, a $6,000 jacket to an event at Buckingham Palace. So where's the outrage there? Now, you shouldn't be surprised to learn that there was none. Instead, this is what the First Lady is used to.
She wore that Tracy Reese dress, J. Crew shoes, and as many male members of her production staff back in the control room have been commenting on this morning, a blue-gray hue nail polish that is really the talk of the internet. I want you to know, Matt, I've been calling all morning over to the First Lady's office to discover that shade, but I haven't been able to find out.
The mainstream media, because of their liberal bias, is doing a disservice to every single voter who dares to tune into their broadcasts.
If the national news media are so biased in one direction, can a democracy function? And I would suggest that that very democracy is imperiled by this. Are they doing the American people a favor? Absolutely not.
And coming up, I'll demonstrate how hate speech, deception, and gutter politics have failed Democrats in the past. And I'll explain how Republicans can capitalize on the politics of division in order to win in November. My closing thoughts on the special edition of Hannity's America coming up next.